Live. So we are live on Facebook. There's always a little lag, so we were live already. Today I am here with Ellen Van Olden with Empower the Girls, and Ellen is my accountability partner, which means that we meet once a week and we kind of keep each other on track in business and in our personal life too, it seems like, which has been an unexpected and wonderful piece of this relationship. So Ellen and I talk every week and we just talk about some of the coolest things. And last week we were talking about our inner critic because, I was on that 48 hours show and I was so nervous about it. And it feels like vanity. It really does. I don't even like to talk about it because it feels like vanity, but I picked myself apart physically. And it's something that I've done my whole life. And so when you and I talked about it last week, you gave me some great advice. And I decided that I wanted to share it with all of my friends because it's such great advice. So thank you for indulging me and coming on here. And what did we say we would call this?
Check in and chat. Check in
Check-in.
and chat. And,
I like it.
Janice, that's really kind of what we do every week.
It
And,
is.
it's interesting when, I love this accountability for you and I, and it's such a great way of being together. And, life, when you talked about accountability for work, but, it's really, it's work and life. It's all one big
It is.
thing. So
It is.
I don't consider my work. I love it. Right. I consider work doing the dishes, having to do laundry.
Right? Same. I'm the same. I love my work and I don't like doing dishes.
Yeah. So, and laundry, but yeah. And I'm so excited because I love our conversations.
Me
And
too.
sometimes, things just come up in that moment and we can take a deep dive or not. And, I'm a big researchist, I love researching. And, I love learning about a subject. And, over the course of the last, 12 years, I have just thrown myself into courses and coaching and reading and a plethora of things just to make me a better human being.
Well,
And
yeah, because, I was talking, I talk with Dr. John every week on Wednesdays,
yes,
and it's funny
yeah,
because I talk to a variety of people now. I go live on a variety of subjects, but all subjects that I love. But yesterday, one of the things that we said when we wrapped our session was, you don't know what you don't know. And as much as we think we know, there's a whole lot out there that we don't know. And it's great that you do so much research. Okay, let's jump right in because I said we're only going to spend no more than 10 minutes. I'm chatty. We are chatty. So we're going to try to keep it like on
well, this
point.
is check in and chat.
It is. It is. Okay, so when I told you last week that I was really distressed watching myself on that 48-hour show because I didn't like the angle and I didn't like the way I looked and and I picked myself apart, and that's something I've done my whole life. And everybody does that in some area. It may not be their physical appearance, it may be the way that they talk, or it could be anything, but we all have an inner critic. Every stinking single one of us has an inner critic that kicks us in the mouth.
I have multiple inner
Right.
critics, and I've learned to like deal with them, because what happens in the brain, they just stick around
Yeah.
and they stay in our thoughts and they show up in all, times. I mean, I love that you said, the way you looked for 48 hours and that really bothered you. You were picking yourself apart. Well, that critic is a total enemy.
Sure. Sure, because I loved the way I spoke. I felt good about the message that I brought. That was important to me, and I was worried about it, and watching it and listening to it, if I could just like close my eyes and like hear the things that were being said. There were a couple of little things, but what a blessing that I was happy with the message that that they actually portrayed. So
Yes. Yeah.
anyway, so your advice to me was,
Well, we were talking about, so I have a couple a couple pieces that I use. Visuals. I love visuals,
I do too.
So when I got that wonk and a wonk and a wonk going on, it's either I put them on the bus.
Yeah.
So we're all riding on the bus together, and I just go, oh, and everybody's nice and quiet, and I'm the bus driver, right? I'm in control, and we're all on the bus together, and then then that inner critic starts going, "Oh, you don't look so good today. Oh, look how fat you are. Really? You didn't do your hair. Like the hair, it's out of whack. Seriously? You're going to show up like that? You're not good enough. You can't say the right things." So, they're all in the bus and they're all babbling away. So I love sometimes just like, I'm the bus driver. Okay, this is your stop. Pull over and kick that critic right off the bus. Like, your stop, you're out, get out. And I love that visual because,
I do too.
and here's the deal. I think the more I put it into practice this week.
Did you?
Yes. So one of my critics showed up and I was like, who are you? Hello. I don't think so. So I used another visual. It's the table. Who gets to sit at my table? Or stand?
Yeah.
So that critic gets to sit at the baby table, or not the baby table, the
The
little
kid
kids,
table. Yeah. The kids
naughty
table.
table, the kids table, the naughty table. So I just parked her over there, and I actually name some of my critics, because I think it's good, because when they show up, you go, oh, Helen. When Helen shows up, I'm like, I'm sorry, Helen, you got to go sit at the kiddie table, right?
I like
And
it.
it's great because at my table, who gets to sit there?
Mhm.
Me, myself, and I. Joy gets to join me. Happiness gets to join me, right? Encouragement gets to join me. Positivity. Oh my God, I love positivity. She joins me. And I'll quickly share, and this, I have created that alter kind of fun character, ego, whatever she is, and her name is Positively Prudence.
Yes.
For me to come out of my shell and to post her on Facebook, right, to do a rant, because I had taken improv. Can you imagine the inner critic that was in my head going, who
Oh,
do you
yes.
think you are? You're too old for this. Are you serious? You're an old, what are you trying to do? You don't even know how to act. You're not even funny. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was, so I listened to that, and then I took the leap. I just said, you know what? Here comes courage. She gets to go with me. And off we leapt together, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I love. There's a book called The Energy Bus, and that's really where I had the visual, because the bus driver's name is Joy.
The energy bus. I like that. The
The
energy
energy
bus.
bus.
I love analogies so much, and I love visualization, and I appreciate you sharing that with me, because it really is powerful, and I've used it for a variety of reasons in the last week. It was interesting because I really believe that, it seems like the universe just brings things to the table just when you need it. I know that's a little woo-woo, but whatever. It's the truth, and when we talked about this last week, I had no idea how important it was going to be for me today, on this day where I am, and it's wonderful, and I appreciate it so much. I am a firm believer that we feed our brain just as much as we feed our body, and it's so important what we feed our brain, and that you can take yourself one direction or another, just all depending on what you feed your brain. So I know that I am going to be driving my bus, which my thing is, my hashtag is drive your own train. So, and it
Yeah.
has
So
been for a long time. I've been on a personal journey for about 3 years now. And anybody who, like any of my friends that watch this, that have known me for a long time, know that I've gone through a lot of transformation in the last 3 years. And it's been very positive. It's not always, every day's not great, but Most days are. And that's because I've been consciously feeding my brain the things that I want it to consume. So
Yeah, and you
it's all
touch
part of
upon
it.
yeah, and you touch upon something really important, because I think that just bringing the awareness, pausing, the pause
Yeah.
is really important. Um, and happiness, what I just heard you say was, you know, happiness spends more time in the positive brain side, because
Mhm.
there's really kind of, I don't want to say two sides, but there's the survival brain and there's
Yeah.
the positive brain. And it's kind of like the judges, the critics, the saboteurs, all those in the survival. The focus of those critics are like survival, right? And that's when we
Yeah.
get the anxiety, shame. I mean, Brene Brown talks about vulnerability and shame, how much we
Mhm.
shame ourselves.
So
So how
much.
yeah, and how much time are you spending, right,
Mhm.
in the positive side? There's a great guy. He's a Stanford lecturer, Shazad wait a minute, let me Shirzad Shamin,
You're
Chami.
going to have to put that in the comments because there's no way, like, I can't follow you. I know nobody else can follow that.
That name, but just remember this:
Yeah.
positive intelligence. And what I love about that is, he talks about how much time are you really spending in the sage time? How much time are you spending? How much time are you giving that? And for me, it's really been a practice. What you said was it's a practice.
It is.
So I
So is.
practice it this week even more so because of our conversation. And that was really great. I mean, that was huge. So why can't you have more critics, positive critics, right? So
Right. Bring them
yeah.
up to the table, bring them up to the front of the room. You know, I'm going to close by saying this. I said we'd keep it at about 10 minutes, and we're
Oh
a little
yeah,
over, of course, because I am chatty. I'll take responsibility for it.
me
But
too.
yeah, it is what it is. So it's okay. But I want to say this. If for anybody who, is always working on, bringing more positivity into their life, and just being happier in general. Because let's face it, I mean, this is that old tired cliche. This is not a dress rehearsal. It's not. And so choose happy, drive your own train and choose happy. But so I've had a really stressful week. I talked with someone else this week about being more vulnerable and that sort of thing. And I'm not all into going into a lot of negativity, but I had a couple of moments in the last couple of days where I felt so overwhelmed by the variety of things that were happening negatively in my world. And it upset me so much because I have been so in control of that for so long now. I've been so happy for so long. I have an amazing group of friends. I live in paradise. I have an amazing group of clients. I have a amazing group, a team that works with me and supports me, and like all these wonderful things that have been happening, and my cup has just been overflowing because of that. And in the last week, I've had these things that were just like piling on, piling on. And I caught myself yesterday feeling like everything that I have worked so hard for in the last, 2 or 3 years had just fallen apart. And it really shook me. And I felt like, how could that be? How could I have gotten where I wanted to be and then just it all fell apart? And I woke up this morning and realized it didn't. It really didn't. I mean, it's just a bump, and it's just you just what you feed your brain, who you let on the bus, who you bring to the table, all those things.
Exactly. A lot
So
of it. And what you just said too, and quickly, is this is happening, right? It's an event. That's all. And if you're more of an observer, right? You don't internalize. It's okay to feel those emotions. We should all. I mean, listen, we should talk about emotions, because I am like the avoider queen.
yeah,
And
we'll
maybe
talk
next
about that
time.
another day, of course.
but the happening, you know, so these things are happening, and it's okay to be the observer and just listen and
Mhm.
pause and be aware and just go, hey, you know what? COVID, COVID happened and it's happening. And
Yeah.
instead of going, oh, what's
Yeah.
going to happen to my business? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I'll figure something out, right? Now the vaccine. I need to get my mom vaccinated desperately. And I get online. I'm like, but guess what? I'm not getting wrapped up into, oh my God, I got to go on today and try a million times, get her on the list, this. No, it'll
How you talk
happen.
to yourself, how you talk to
It's,
yourself. So
yep,
let me say this. So I
yep,
posted a video this morning. A very good friend of mine sent me this great
loved
video.
it,
Yeah, wasn't it great? It's like
loved
10
it.
or 11 minutes, but I listened to it and it was amazing. That I told you I have amazing friends. The people around me are just amazing. And but here was the takeaway for those who don't want to listen to it. Of course, they're probably not listening to this anymore either, but um so the takeaway was, if a piece of fire gets on your sweater, you flick it off. You flick it off before it burns your sweater up, right? And it's the same thing with negativity. Flick it off. That inner critic, flick them off,
Yep,
literally and figuratively. So
yep.
thank you,
And
Ellen.
see them
Thank
and
you,
notice
Ellen.
them.
We're so talky. We're so talky. Thank you. We'll do this
Thank you.
again. I hope somebody got something out of it and they're driving their bus and kicking that jerk off the bus when they show up saying bad things. So have a beautiful day. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
my person.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.